The best place for sunrise. Just open up your door to breathe in the sunshine. Sing with us on the porch.
Today is April 23rd, 2016. Joining us on the porch are Eric Mena and Jenny Gordon.
The best place for family. What are you waiting for? Where friendships run deeper. Come join us on the porch. So glad you're on the porch.
Hey kids, you've made it another week to another exciting episode of On the Porch Radio Hour. Yeah, I'm Matthew, and I'm your host, and we have some lively bunch in the audience today. It's gonna be a great show. What do you think of that? It's gonna be a great show tonight. One of our guests brought snacks, which was really lovely. So I want to thank Eric Mena for doing that. And I really want to thank Jenny for being here too. Unfortunately, Jenny got here a lot quieter than Eric did. He had quite a journey of getting here. He was about halfway here. From what he explains, he was about halfway here, and he decided that he probably shouldn't. If he's going to somebody's house, Eric's the kind of guy that thinks ahead, and he's like, if I'm going to hang out somewhere, then I need to bring snacks. I need to bring snacks. So he turned around and drove back to where he came from, and we'll talk about that later. But he drove back, and he picked up some pretty awesome snacks, and part of the issue was that he wanted to have really awesome snacks, and he was working really hard to make sure that he had really awesome snacks. And as he was reaching for the jar of salsa, it was the last jar of salsa on the shelf, there was also an older woman who was there with her walker, who was also reaching for the same jar of salsa. And no, she should have been reaching for something on a lower shelf. But and so she saw Eric reaching up, and as the story goes, it sounds like maybe she thought that he was reaching up to get the jar to hand to her, and she thanked him, and he said, "Oh, no problem, ma'am," and then he put the salsa in his basket and he walked away. At which point, she said something along the lines of, "This is why I have wheels on my walker," and like greased lightning, the older woman found her way right into the back of Eric's ankles. And if you've ever been into a grocery store and you've ever been hit in the ankles by grocery cart or walker, you know that that's not nice. And there was Eric with his bag of chips and his salsa, and I don't think he's too embarrassed by the fact that he was kind of a mess. He was like on the floor, and it's painful. I've been hit by the grocery cart in the ankles before. It's trauma. It's traumatizing. And all he could yell was not help or ow. It was, "I'm gonna be late for the porch." And luckily one of the clerks that was in the store heard his cry and then said, "This can't happen." And like a second greased lightning, the clerk was on the scene with a mop and a wet floor sign. Even though nothing spilled, there was nothing there. Eric didn't even have tears. There was nothing to mop up. But the clerk was prepared, and he put the yellow sign in front of the old lady and pushed her away with the mop and helped Eric up. And then, then escorted Eric, very, very kindly escorted Eric out to his car to make sure the old lady didn't come after him. At which point, Jenny was also in the parking lot, and she had some words for Eric, and then they both realized that they were headed to the same place. So we were able to breathe. I say we, I wasn't even there, but they were able to breathe and relax. They made phone calls to let us know what was going on. And fortunately, our stage manager, Renee Monet, was able to answer the phone and give them good advice, which was, "I'm glad you're safe. Get the chips and salsa here." And she hung up the phone. And a little while later, there was a couple knocks on the door. We had some audience members, we had some snacks, and we had some guests. And I'm very excited to have our guests, Eric Mena and Jenny Gordon, on the show. And we're going to get to them later, and I don't want to spoil any surprises ahead of time. So that's where I'm going to leave you. And so until then, I'm happy to say, Eric Mena, you're on the porch. I originally was going to tell the story about the Eric Mena bird. Do you remember?
Yes,
Yeah.
I absolutely remember the story about the Eric bird.
Yep. We were camping.
Yeah.
And there were birds. It was like 3 days in a row, like 5:15, 5:30 in the morning, and we would wake up to Eric.
It's absolutely true.
Eric. It's like, what on earth?
And then it would pause
And then
and say, Mena. Yeah,
that's right.
that's absolutely true.
Mena.
I don't know what kind of bird it is, but
we call it the Eric Mena bird, and I still listen every once in a while.
listening to I'm in the trees.
Yes, that's the kind of bird you want to see and find in your animal speak book. So anyway, I want to welcome Eric Mena to the porch. Yeah, thanks for being here.
Me.
So Eric, you are coming from Green Planet Grocery,
Yes.
right?
Yes, indeed.
Which is you started working there when it was the mustard seed.
Correct. It was the mustard seed up until 2012.
Okay.
And then the owner changed the name over to Green Planet to avoid some confusion with some other mustard seeds around the area and around the country. But I've been there since '07. So, yeah.
Goodness.
It's a good place.
You're coming up on your 10-year mark.
Yes, I am. I was promised a basket of apples when I reach my 10-year
Really?
anniversary. Apples.
Going after it.
Yes.
That's-
I'm going to make it.
That's incentive. Bring me the basket of apples. Okay, so when I talk about you and Green Planet Grocery, I have my own perspective to explain who you are. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to give that explanation.
Okay. That's all up to me.
Because I don't know how accurate or inaccurate it is. So, and we'll get to the point. That I'm. So anyway, explain what your role at Green Planet is.
I'm the manager, general manager at Green Planet Grocery in Oswego. Mm-hmm. We have 2 other locations in Syracuse and Cicero. We are pretty proud to be the only dedicated grocery store for all natural and organic groceries. Mm-hmm. So you walk in the door, you can be sure that you won't find any artificial ingredients in any of the groceries. So no artificial colors, no high fructose corn syrup, no artificial preservatives. Mm-hmm. So it's all really clean.
That's
and nice. We look at our labels and our ingredients all the time. Mm-hmm. So that if people come in to say, I'm looking for something that has this in it or without this, we can say, try this. We've tried that. Other people like this. And so we try to be specialized so that we can help people find groceries with food allergy, if they have food allergies, any food sensitivities. And there's quite a bit of people who are finding that out.
Yeah.
And we also have supplements, and all of our produce is organic, and some of it is grown right here in Oswego County, mm-hmm. From Grindstone Farms, and we love having them partner with us. Yeah. So, we're glad to be a part of the community. They've really supported us since we opened in '04 mm-hmm. in Oswego. So,
yeah.
And
you've been, you personally, as a representative of Green Planet and Green Planet,
yes.
Have been incredibly supportive of the community as well. You guys you're constantly doing things, and you were a big help in sponsoring our festival here last year.
Yes,
that was
right.
A huge help. That was so cool.
Thank you. Yeah. We're glad to do that, and we we've known you both, the family, for a very long time. We were happy to help on many levels for that, because you're friends of ours, and because we do try to support the community, because it's the community supports us, and so if we have an ability to donate a gift certificate or a basket of food or something to an organization, that is, whether it's a festival or they're trying to raise money for something, we do our best to try to accommodate that because, we all, we work together as a community. So
yeah, absolutely. It does work. And you guys were also very supportive in, you hung some art of mine for a while for a grant, the grant that I got from Central or New York Arts Decentralization Program.
We were just looking at those in the back. Yep.
Nice. Yeah. They're hanging up in the studio now. Yeah. So you're constantly finding ways to be able to do that. And you're very giving and accepting of the community. Yeah. Which I think really brings people in. Mm-hmm. And you were talking a couple minutes ago about all of the things that you have and that you supply. And I was recently in a grocery store, an unnamed grocery store in an unnamed town.
Okay, I'm with you.
And I was standing in a, I don't even remember what aisle it was, but there was a woman that had asked one of the staff members to help her find something because somebody in her family was diabetic. And so, in a grocery store, you're not really required to know a lot of stuff about what it means to be diabetic or what,
Especially in large stores. That's absolutely true.
It's a lot of work. But the woman was like trying to figure it out. And so the young man said, oh, well, this should be fine. And one of the first ingredients was corn syrup. And the woman was like, geez, I really don't know. And they were kind of going back and forth. And I didn't step in or say anything because I'm not going to claim that I know any more than anybody else. But the whole reason I bring up that story is because I've been in Green Planet during similar experiences, similar conversations, and your staff is able to point people in the right direction. And if they aren't sure, they say, I'm really not sure, but we've got these things. And so, let's try to find out information about that. And
I'm glad that you've experienced that. And I hope other people who come in have that same sense is that, that is one thing that we try to reinforce about our being special in the community is that we're just the right size. We can know all of our products. We can know our customers, and we can take that time to pretty much know everything in the store.
Right.
And be able to guide them where they need to be without saying, well, that person's not here today, or I just stocked the shelves. Everybody sort of knows at least a little bit of everything so that they can trust that we know what we're talking about, and we're providing them with something that's going to suit their needs, not make them not make their condition any worse, but to hopefully, help them in the right direction.
Yeah, to improve people's lives, which is really cool. How do you feel about how the mission of Green Planet Grocery has transformed or stayed the same? And of course because of my own experiences, I have an opinion about this. But tell us a little bit about, I think you've already told us some about the mission of Green Planet, but how do you continue to evolve that mission? How do you continue to be able to stay in that core mission as well?
Absolutely. Yeah. And when the owner started these stores, when he opened up the first one, his mission was to bring good nutrition into areas that may not have access to it, and to do it in a way that they could come in and know that everything in here was all natural and organic. So the mission was, small stores in smaller communities, so that we could all feel a part of the community. They could feel like it's their store.
Right.
And nothing too large that we would lose that personal feel. So as the stores have grown and other ones have opened up, the mission is still the same, to bring nutrition, but also to bring that knowledge, that special information that, while other stores may have similar or the same items, you may not be able to pull someone aside, like you were saying, and ask them specific questions. And, they may not be able to take 5, 10, 20, 30 minutes to talk to you about it. And so as we evolve, we just want to keep learning more about the foods and the trends and supplementation, just to kind of be in the forefront as, natural eating is becoming more popular. Fortunately. It should be. It should be. And just as an aside, I was thinking on the way over here about how strange it is, almost a little bit bizarre, that when you think about, especially in this country, food that is, all natural and it's out of the ground and it's how it's supposed to be. That food is coming to be considered specialty food.
Right.
And it really is kind of strange. It should be the opposite. Natural food should just be food, and things that have to go into a lab and scientists and gene splicing, that should be the specialty food that costs more. And there's another conversation to be said about pricing and things like that.
Sure.
But, we are trying to provide the best quality, and that's really our goal, is good nutrition, good quality.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah.
Thanks, Eric.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
So give us the skinny on where people can find you at Green Planet, how they can contact you. Do you have a website and things that are coming up for the spring and summer?
Absolutely. Thank you. Like I said, I run the Oswego location. So we are on East First and Bridge in Midtown Plaza, and it's directly below Rite Aid. It's like a little 2-level plaza. We have a Facebook presence, Green Planet Grocery Oswego. There's a website, gpgrocery.com. You can always give us a call, 207-0016. We're there every day. We really get excited every August. It's usually the second weekend in August. We have our anniversary celebration. So we have, we have food cooking outside. We have lots of vendors, special incentives and sales and things. You can come in and you can, eat stuff, and we'll give you things to take home. And it's really a thank you back to the community for supporting us.
Yeah.
But keep in touch with us, and we'll let you know all the fun stuff that's coming up.
Awesome.
We'd love to see some new people.
Cool. Yeah. Before I let you go, there's one more thing I want to throw in there. So there's a lot of things that you've said that you're doing. You're supporting local community.
Yes.
You're supporting local farmers. Recently, I found a place that I can go that's family friendly, that I can go and take the kids to watch English Premier League soccer games in Syracuse. It's called Wolf's Beer Garden, and right next door to there is a recess coffee shop. And
excellent place.
Yeah.
Excellent coffee. Yeah.
And I walked in there the other day, like the last time Max and I went to watch a game. Max and Ruby and I went, and I walked in there, and Max was like, "Oh, are you buying coffee?" And I said, "No, I'm not. I'm not buying coffee. I just want to thank them for making that connection." So I kind of,
awesome.
I stepped in and I was like, "Hey, I'm on my way out. Just wanted to say it's really cool that I know who you are and you're a local place."
That's nice. They must have appreciated that.
Yeah, and I said, Green Planet is a great place to connect with. So, so not only are you doing a lot of that kind of stuff, but you're the other stuff that you've talked about, but you've also got local coffee or locally roasted coffee as well, which is really cool.
I'm glad to hear that. Yeah. And I'm glad, and we're glad to help them grow. And it's definitely a two-way street. So that's great. That's a great story.
Yeah. So thanks, Eric. Thanks for being on the show and taking time to come out to the farm. Thank you for having me. Absolutely.
Anytime.
Eric Mena, Green Planet Grocery. Thanks for everything you do. And now, a word from our sponsor. We are consistently getting viewer mail, Matthew, and this week we received a question worthy of airtime. This comes from longtime listener, first-time caller, Skip. Hey, kids. Ha! Did you see what I did there? Anyway, you always talk about the live studio audience. Well, we can't hear them when we listen to the archives. Why is that? Do you edit out the laughter and the applause? From your biggest fan, Skip. Well, thank you, Skip. The answer is simple. You can't hear the audience because of tonight's sponsor, Sleeping Pills. With Sleeping Pills, On the Porch Radio Hour guests rest easy. Sometimes they rest so easy they don't even know we've had a show. Did you know that it wasn't until the second scientific revolution, yes, there was two, during the 16th century, which means the first one happened before that scientists created chemicals they could properly knock people out with? On the Porch Radio Hour guests are always satisfied with Sleeping Pills. So when there's a moment that you need sleep, access sleeping pills. Or when the kids are too loud, well, let's hear it for tonight's sponsor, Sleeping Pills. You're listening to On the Porch Radio Hour. We'll be back in a moment.
This is what's happening in Central New York. The Oswego Music Hall welcomes Burning Bridget Cleary on April 30th. The Music Hall also offers an open mic night on April 29th with guest host Brian Dickinson. Visit oswegomusichall.org for more information. Soul Hooping is offering an introductory workshop on May 3rd at 6 p.m. at the McRobie Building in Oswego. Visit soulhooping.com for more information about this and other events. Theatre du Jour hosts a ribbon-cutting ceremony at their new art loft space at 171 West 1st Street in Oswego. There will be music provided by Dan Williams, refreshments, and a preview reading from the cast of 5 Women Wearing the Same Dress, directed by Mo Harrington. The play is being presented in grand dinner theater style on Friday, May 20th as part of the Quality Inn Theater series at GS Steamers. Visit dujourcny.com for more information. Serendipity Cafe for All is hosting an organizational potluck tomorrow at 2 p.m. at the Lycoming United Methodist Church. Visit Serendipity Cafe for All on Facebook for more information. The Healthy Baby Expo, including the 6th annual Great Cloth Diaper Change, is today at Elam Grace Church in Oswego. There will be activities, vendors, product demos, and more. Visit healthybabyexpo.com for more information. The Collect Theater and Conference Center hosts Hotel California, the original Eagles tribute band, on June 4th. The theater is also hosting upcoming screenings of Norm of the North, The Revenant, and The Hateful Eight. To find out about these and other events at the theater or to purchase tickets, visit callettheater.com or call 315-298-0007. An indoor flea market is being held at Canal Commons in Oswego today from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. A Midsummer Night's Dream opens at the CNY Arts Center on May 13th. The Arts Center is also currently offering ballroom dancing classes and offers a monthly writers' cafe where writers of all ages can come and share their work in a casual setting. The next session is tomorrow at 6 p.m. For more information about these, as well as other projects and events at the CNY Arts Center, visit cnyartscenter.com. The Wooden Apple Farmstead is the home of the Red Room Sessions, a time for songwriters, musicians, and anyone else who wants to build their musical skill and knowledge to get together. We share songs we are working on, bounce musical ideas off each other, and we usually have time to just play a little music. This is a supportive environment where all levels of songwriting and musical experience are welcome. The next session is tomorrow at 6 p.m. For more information about Red Room Sessions or other events and projects, visit Wooden Apple Farmstead on Facebook or call 315-591-0711.
So, good friend of the Wooden Apple Farmstead and multifaceted, multifunctional Jenny Gordon is here. And I have to be honest, Jenny, that when I saw your name on the guest list for the show, I had to ask several times which thing it was that you were doing that you were coming on the show to talk about. And I finally got to the point where I was just like, well, I'll just wait till she gets here. Because I was just ready to just promote Jenny Gordon and all of her things that she's connected to. But you're actually here for Shining Stars.
Yes. Yeah. But if you want to represent Jenny as the brand, that's fine too.
I think I'm going to get a Jenny brand t-shirt.
Yeah. Well, I think I should make one.
Yeah.
I'm Jenny Gordon and so can you.
Yes. I like that. Yeah.
Awesome.
Right?
All right. Let's do that. Let's make that a thing that we do.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It'll be pretty simple. It'll just kind of be like a Cheshire cat kind of thing because it's just like a big smile.
Yeah.
And yeah, because that's
Or a
what
hobbit.
you do. Or
a hobbit. That's fine.
Yeah. Awesome. I like it.
Yeah.
So tell us about what Shining Stars is and does and what you're doing with Shining Stars.
Well, Shining Stars is a theatrical-based program for 3 to 8-year-olds that is basically focused on creating brave, creative leaders. So So the catchphrase, if you will, or the motto of Shining Stars is giving little voices a big stage. And we welcome divas and we welcome painfully shy kids and special needs kids, all the kids. Yeah. All the kids can come. And you know, we find a way for them to participate in the show that we're working on. But it's a little bit different from children's theater for a couple of reasons. The first is that, you know, children's theater usually, you know, will cast children that maybe are like 6 or 7 years old at the youngest, so because, you know, they need to be able to read their scripts. And when they audition for a show, they're sort of typecast, if you will, you know, and when you're working on the show, everything is building to the end product. Yeah. And with Shining Stars, we do prepare shows, little 7 to 10 minute shows. And being a music teacher by trade, I always throw a little music in there, throw a little song in there. But the shows are very simplistic, and the curriculum is based all on the process. So we just did a production of the 3 Billy Goats Gruff, and my big Billy Goat, the one that knocks the troll off the bridge, I actually cast the shyest child in the class, who, you know, somebody who really barely makes a peep, you know, and she had to yell charge, you know. I think the only one that ended up getting typecast was my own daughter, who is a complete diva, who had to play the sassy Billy Goat. But other than that, everybody was playing a role that was almost opposite of what their normal comfort zone is. And, you know, so for the most part, the class is made up of games that focus on interpersonal communication and for some of our kids, spatial awareness. Like, we have games that focus on spatial awareness because, you know, when they get, you know, really into a game, they don't see anything below eye level, you know. So if you've got younger kids in the class, that's a big deal. So you know, so we focus on games like that. We have games that focus on projection and helping children, you know, get loud and soft and being comfortable with that. Not just, they're projecting their own voice, but being comfortable listening to different volumes is good. And focusing on audience etiquette. That's a big deal. That was always a big deal for me as a music teacher, making sure that we clap, making sure that we're polite and respectful when we watch. And then, of course, like I said, we got to have some singing in there. So,
yeah, man.
But it's a really great time. And we try to, you know, make sure that the stories that we're telling are stories that, you know, Little Red Hen, 3 Billy Goats Gruff, you know, stories that they might be familiar with, but that are certainly repetitive. Yeah. So we have a lot of fun. And I was asked to be the area director because I like to build programs.
All right.
And because I've been called the Pied Piper of children.
Yes, it's true.
They just like me. So, and I really like being with them because children sort of experience magic that adults sometimes forget. And I like being around that kind of energy. Yeah. You know, children, when they're quite young, experience it and don't question it. And when they get older, they have a full understanding of that magic and can learn how to facilitate it and pass it on. But I think as we get older and we take on more responsibilities, we sort of lose some of our magic. And I think that's why I like being around the kids, because I can always feel it and be a part of it. So it sounds a little cheesy, but that's kind of the reason that I do what I do. So.
No, that's really exciting. And I think it's a good fit, you know, the way that you're able to bring your own energy and help facilitate other people's energy, and the way that you're able to make your own energy as well as other people's contagious and exciting is really cool. Yeah. So you kind of partially answered one of my questions in what you were just saying. And that is, I was going to ask how you came about the Shining Stars program, because I hadn't heard about it before. So I wasn't sure if it was something you had created or if it was something that is happening other places that you've like kind of adapted to the Oswego County area. So how does that work?
Well, Shining Stars is a sister curriculum to a program that is running very successfully in Rochester and Buffalo, Syracuse, and the Baldwinsville area. And that program is called Happy Feet. And it is a soccer-based program for 2 to 6 year olds that is focused on creating brave, creative leaders, you know, through athletics. And the parent company is actually in Kansas. And there was a gentleman by the name of Andrew was tasked with I think he was blessed with the opportunity to create a curriculum, a theatrical-based curriculum that focuses on the same objectives. But the parent company sort of franchises out. So my boss is the franchise owner for this area for all of the curriculums from this company. Okay. And her name is Rebecca Meek. And she, she can do anything and everything with Happy Feet and Shining Stars, from Buffalo essentially to Watertown. Okay. And Shining Stars is new in this area. Right now, I'm the only one that does it. Yeah. So she was looking for somebody to grow that program, to get it to be as successful as Happy Feet, and she found me at the kids club in Phoenix. She dropped her kids off at my jump and jive class, which is my business, my side business. Right. Because I teach a music and movement class for 6 months to 3 years old. Because why not? Right. So she dropped her sons off, and then when I came out of class, I said it was nice to meet her, and her sons did very well. And, and the owner of the kids club introduced me and said, "Oh, Jenny would be great. She sings like Mary Poppins." And from there, I became the area director. Yes. But any opportunity to build, something musical or theatrical, I love to do, and especially with kids. So, and I'd actually thought about creating my own auditioned troupe or something. But actually in Oswego, the elementary schools, all of the music teachers do a big show for the 5th and 6th graders. 4th graders usually contribute in some way, or they're, playing instruments and in choir. Okay. But there just isn't a lot for this age group. So it is actually a class and a service that the community, I guess, was looking for. Yeah. Because not every kid wants to dance, and not every parent can afford the costumes, and not every child is athletic. Or my son is athletic, but he can't handle the competition. So this is a better fit for him. Yeah. So that's how it came to me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I think the Mary Poppins analogy is very true to not just your singing, but like your bag of tricks is like bottomless. Like you're constantly pulling stuff out, and I've seen you as a part of and connected to many things. And I think that's really exciting. And so to have a program like this that you're saying, obviously is kind of meeting a niche need that kind of was getting missed in the area. And it's nice to be able to plug something like that in, and then add your connection to the community already. People know who you are through a ton of different things. And so that really helps too.
Yeah.
So in a 24-hour day, what, like, and I don't know everything you're connected to now, but like you're getting up in the morning, the kids are getting on the bus, and then you are like all over the place, right? Like, how many things are you doing in a day?
Well, I'm trying to get Shining Stars into the daycares. Originally, this program was written for daycares and preschools for the 3 to 5 year old age group. So I am trying to reach out to those schools and daycares, and I guess schedule demos so that I bring the older kids into the evening classes. And my hope is to eventually build it from Oswego all the way to Syracuse, and to have coaches. So I'm constantly working on that goal. And sometimes I write shows just because I want to,
right?
And I know what's going to work for my kids. So I work on that. I work on promoting Jump and Jive. I'm teaching the class at CMU, the Children's Museum, on Monday mornings, and then and that's part of the admission, the cost of admission, which is lovely. And I'll start teaching Shining Stars drop-off classes there next week as well. Nice. So that's good. But I spend time to promoting Jump and Jive at Mother Earth Baby, my other location where I teach those classes. And then I also own a Market America franchise, which I specifically, I try to help business owners, traditional business owners, and veterans, find this internet mall, and the brilliance of that is just shopping from yourself and getting paid to shop for your own toilet paper is brilliant, I think.
Yeah.
So you know, I work on that. And then my pet project, which is near and dear to my heart, is the US Oswego event that I co-founded with Victoria Usherwood Galinas from iHeart. And it's a veterans benefit and fundraiser that we do for Veterans Day to passively celebrate our veterans in a way that they don't have to get up in their uniform and be honored, because that makes them feel awkward.
Right.
But we give them, you know, a really great dinner and a show, and it's free for them and inexpensive for their dates if they bring one. You know, so that is a passion project for me to not just to honor them and to feed them because they just want to be fed,
Right.
but to give the community a chance to celebrate them in a way that doesn't make them feel on the spot, because
Right.
they don't really know how to receive that, because they don't feel like heroes.
Right.
So basically in a day, I do that. I
Yeah.
do those things, those 4 things. And then I have 3 kids. So
Awesome.
I try to do that too.
Yeah.
US Oswego gives me an opportunity to work with grown-ups, which is a rarity for me. So most of the time they just, you know, they come in prepared, and I just tell them what I want to see, and then they, you know, they're all so wonderful that they make it happen. So that's
right.
really great.
Thank you so much for doing everything that you're doing and taking time out of all of that stuff to come hang out with us on the porch, which is quite an honor. So it's very cool.
It was an honor for me. I'm really excited. I remember when you started this show, and I just remember thinking, gosh, if I could just do something noteworthy, I could be on it. So I'm really excited.
I was just trying to pick which thing we wanted to start with. That's all.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate being on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, part of the show's success is Jenny Gordon, because for quite a while, when the show first started, I was meeting weekly with Jenny so she could help me organize my life. And that was a huge help. I am carrying 2 agendas. So I'm, you know,
Awesome.
yeah, I'm not quite there yet,
Yeah.
you know, because it'd be nice to have just one, but I have my phone too. But anyway, I'm getting there, and I'm keeping things organized, and I'm getting things done. So thanks for all your help too.
You are very welcome.
On a personal level. So we're going to keep you on our radar, and we're going to keep bringing you in from time to time to catch us up on everything you're doing.
Definitely do. I'm definitely a talker. You might not even have to prepare questions. Just say go, and I'll do it.
We'll just keep you in a booth, and every once in a while we'll just we'll just take off the mute button and see, like, hey, let's take a few minutes to hear what Jenny's talking to herself about right now.
And it could be so disastrous.
It'd be awesome. I would listen 24 hours a day.
Awesome.
So thank you so much, Jenny.
You are very welcome. Thank you.
And good
for
luck
having
to everything you're doing. And of course, you should be on the show anytime.
Thank you very much.
All right. Take care.
Thank you.
Not only is Jenny Gordon seen as somebody special in our community, but it was reinforced by the show Cat throwing up right at Jenny's feet. Like, here, I don't have a mouse to bring you, so here's your puke. Well, I'm going to bring Gina Holsopple up to the stage. Gina, watch your step. All right. Yeah. We're working on the dog food puke from the cat. Anyway, Gina, are you interested in singing now?
You know, the last time, the last song I sang for people, I had to run off to the stage to do exactly what that cat did.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes.
All right. Are you? Yeah.
I run plugged in, so. I am a traveler on God's highway, and I'll share my sorrows if you'll go my way. I have no mother, no father, no sister, no brother. I am an orphan girl. I have had friendships, true and golden, but the ties of kinship ship, I have not known them. I know no mother, no father, no sister, no brother. I am an orphan girl. When he calls me, I will be able to meet my family at God's table. I'll meet my mother, my father, my sister, my brother. No more an orphan girl. Blessed Savior, make me willing to stand beside me till I'm with Him. Be my mother, my father, my sister, my brother. I am an orphan girl. I am an orphan girl. Thank you.
It was October 7th, 1915. And like a few years prior, every year around this time, there was that little circus that rolled through Tonkahogan. And it always brought random sideshow type things and performers that did incredible acts. But in 1915, one of the biggest stories on the circuit was Little Nap. That was his name, Little Nap. And when you see a banner that says Little Nap at a circus, you have to check it out. And so there they were, a packed tent with so many Tonkahogan and nearby town residents, all packed in onto little wooden benches, the smell of dried leaves in the air, the crunch of snacks. And in came a motorcycle to start the show. A motorcycle with a sidecar. And in the sidecar rode a chimpanzee. And in the driver's seat, Little Nap himself. The Napoleon of the chimpanzee world. Now, there wasn't a lot of information about Little Nap for that year of 1915. But, as true as his title, there stood the chimpanzee with his little hat and his shirt and his coat. His coat unbuttoned right in the middle so that he could rest his little chimpanzee hand right inside the flap, just like the real Napoleon. And of course, there was a lot of questions and a lot of rumors about how Little Nap had his own army and they went around and shot the noses off of butter sculptures with their water pistols. Or maybe they were ready to take on the whole world and become its leader, rule the jungles and safaris with Little Nap as their leader. And when the Johnson kids left the tent that day, they couldn't remember anything that happened after that. Not only was Little Nap the Napoleon of the chimpanzee world, but he could drive a motorcycle. A motorcycle with a sidecar. So what's the first thing you do in 1915 when you're a kid and you're amazed by a chimpanzee that can drive a motorcycle with a sidecar? You go home and you build one. And so you put your siblings, your cousins, your friends, your neighbors, shoot, you even try to put grandma in the sidecar. And some of them agree and some of them don't. But there you are with your newspaper folded into a 3-point hat, just like Little Nap. Or even Big Nap, as the kids started to call Napoleon. I mean, if there's a little one, there should be a big one too, right? And they considered themselves the Middle Naps. The two of them, the Johnson brothers, the Middle Naps. And every once in a while, their mom would crack a joke and say, maybe it's time that you take a middle nap and take a break. But no, there was too much play to be had, and too much of the not chimpanzee but not adult world, but somewhere in between, that they needed to take over. It never really happened. They didn't really take anything over. But one day, as they were sitting out on top of one of the hills overlooking Lake Tonkahogen, they started daydreaming together. Started scheming what it might be like if they could have themselves a real motorcycle with a sidecar, and they could drive around the world. Now, they knew they couldn't just drive all the way around the world. They'd have to take a ferry or something across the water, but what a cool trip that would be. And they could take turns. And they could honor their mother's wishes and take middle naps in the sidecar while the other one drove. And they could be on the road for 24 hours at a time, never giving that motorcycle a break. Because adventure, the journey, never takes a break. And they wondered sometimes where that chimpanzee might be. And did he rule other chimpanzees, or was that really just like some kind of circus gimmick? And who was the lucky person to have found Little Nap out in the wilderness? I mean, did he have the outfit already? I mean, was somebody out hunting on a safari somewhere and a chimpanzee came walking across in a Napoleon uniform? Or did they do that? And was the chimpanzee found in the wild, or was it raised domestically? Was it raised on the circus train? Did it really believe that it might be the Napoleon of the chimpanzee world? Oh, so many questions, but no answers. Until the next year, when they heard the train was coming back into town. And there was that crunch and the smell of those dried leaves, and it brought it all back. They'd trade it all in just to smell the exhaust of Little Nap's motorcycle one more time. But he never showed. One and done. 1 year. Little Nap in and out. Where did he go? What did he do? Was he out conquering other circuses? Were he and his army of chimpanzees shooting the noses off of butter sculptures as we speak? Nah, he was probably the richest chimpanzee in the world, and he just decided to retire early and maybe make himself a treehouse and settle down and have some kids. But they wondered as they got older if they would get that motorcycle with the sidecar, and if they would be driving around the world and find themselves near a jungle, see a chimpanzee pop his head out from some bush with a 3-pointed hat on. Or sitting, thinking, with his hand inside his coat. It makes you wonder. It also made them wonder, how does a chimpanzee like Little Nap function after that? I mean, he can't really go back to the wild. I mean, if that's where he started. Who knows? Was he in a zoo somewhere, completely unidentifiable? I mean, could he be in a zoo in the next town over and they just didn't know because they took his uniform away? So, years later, the brothers decided that they were going to look for Little Nap while they were at the zoo with their cousins. And they tried to tell the stories to their cousins, but their cousins were too young to remember Little Nap on his motorcycle. And so, whether it was actually him or not, they were pretty sure it probably wasn't, but they worked really hard to convince their cousins that the way that one chimpanzee over in the corner, the way he stood, and the way he looked a little self-conscious because he was naked, it had to be him. And look how he walks like he used to wear a pair of boots. And you see how he squints when he walks into bright light? Well, that's because his hat used to shade him from the sun. Well, of course he doesn't hold his arm like that anymore. There's no flap in a coat to hold it up. And as they watched, one of the little cousins decided that he could see it. He said, yeah, I think you're right. It looks like there's a little bit of a bald spot where maybe his belt buckle rubbed all the hair off and it just hasn't grown back yet. But no matter where he is, and no matter what he's doing, even if he is somewhere doing anything, or if maybe Little Nap didn't come back because he took a little dirt nap. I mean, what if that was the end? But no matter where he is, we can hear him on his little motorcycle in the sky, with his army behind him armed with their water pistols. They can see him with the sun setting behind him, poised, arm in his coat, thinking about his next big conquer. Would it be 2 more boys from a town like Tonkahogan? Or would it be a whole city? Would he win everybody over? But no matter where he is or what he's doing, he's winning. And that's all that mattered to the Johnson brothers. Because he won their hearts. And they hoped the best for that little chimpanzee. And of course, like all other Tonkahogan residents, it doesn't matter where you are or what you're doing or who you're with. As you lay down at night, no matter what you're thinking about, you always end your day with the same song. And they laughed, and they took deep breaths, and they sang. This is my home. This is my only home. This is the only sacred ground that I have ever known. And should I stray in the dark night alone, rock me, goddess, in the gentle arms of Eden. Rock me, goddess, in the gentle arms of Eden. And there it is. You know what that applause means. You've made it to the end of another exciting episode of On the Porch Radio Hour. And I want to really thank our guests, Eric Mena and Jenny Gordon. Thanks for being on the show. Thanks for being on the porch. Thanks for joining us at the Wooden Apple Farmstead, along with everybody on Concert Window, and along with everybody that's in-house. We had several folks pulling the driveway today that wanted to be part of the show. And we're so glad they showed up. And I want to thank everybody that's listening on our website, in our archives. You just click on the little watch and listen tab. Where is that? Oh, yeah. It's at www.ontheporch.weebly.com. All of our shows are archived. It does get a little overwhelming because we've recorded over 50 shows. Just start at the first one and work your way through, friends. We'll be recording next week. And it'll be a really great show. Because we're going to have musician and poets Shane Amering and Nona Amering right here at the Wooden Apple Farmstead. And on June 9th, we're going to be recording live from the Hall Newman Center at SUNY Oswego. We have upcoming guests for the porch who include Escape the Estate, Encore Presentations, Kyle Osmond, Linda Taggart, Denise Knight, Michael Huynh, and Julie Fisher. The show just gets better and better, ladies and gentlemen, so keep listening, keep being part of On the Porch, and we'll see you next time. So until then, peace to your journey.
On the Porch is a production of the Wooden Apple Farmstead with host and writer Matthew Wood. Our musical director is Gina Holsapple. Our stage manager is Ray Monet. Tonight's sound technician is Gina Holsapple. This week's show is recorded live from Wooden Apple Farmstead in Palermo, New York. This week's guests are Eric Mena from Green Planet Grocery and Jenny Gordon with Shining Stars of CNY. Find information about past shows, being on the porch, and much more online at ontheporch.weebly.com.